Peace and blessings to the 12 tribes of Israel. Today I'm going to deal with a topic called high body count. So I'm just going to use an excerpt from an old YouTube video called Heels Off. It's a whole bunch of young females and they're talking about multiple partners. So let's see if we can do some video commentary and some edification. Just to give you a little bit of a heads up on what you're about to watch, it's about 5 black women and they're all British, and they're talking about, I suppose they're talking about the issues between black men and black women. So the issues between men and women, right? I think there are about 5 of them, and they all look like they're from of African descent, right? Now, from what I know about our brothers and sisters from Africa, in particular Nigeria, the vast majority of them are Christians. You know, some of them are Muslim, but the vast majority of them are Christians, and therefore their thinking is very much of that particular persuasion, right? So I find it interesting, although these women in particular are not talking about anything related to the Bible. You know, they're clearly not following the Bible. But I still find it interesting to hear their mindset and where they're at, right? And I think the other discourse about this video is the fact that their parents came from a place which is culturally heavily steeped in family and culture, you know, in terms of the way how a man and a woman is supposed to conduct themselves. But interestingly enough, when they come to the UK and they have families in the UK or other first world countries, their children don't normally continue that culture, right? They adopt the culture of the first world country, and the first world country is normally anything goes, right? And when it comes to sex, it's normally sexually free. You know, free to do whatever you want, right? So I thought I'd just add that bit in before you watch. Just to add this bit on, I don't know any of these sisters and I wish them nothing but the best. Now, just to speak in their favour, we've all been in different stages of life. You know, we've all thought certain things at certain stages of our lives. A lot of it is from ignorance. Some of it is because, you know, we're too young, too immature, or whatever it is. I mean, at the end of the day, the only thing that will stabilize the way you think, give you good thinking, clean thinking, and righteous thinking is the word of God, which is the Bible, right? And that's the only thing that will stabilize your thoughts and give you holy, righteous thinking, right? And obviously these sisters, they may not have got to that level yet. I'm thinking, but I'll leave that for you to judge.
And that kind of leads me on to being sexually liberated, right? Because it's kind of lingers into that. Do you think that it does more harm than good?
What is being sexually liberated?
Being
I
have sexually,
a different definition.
So being sex positive and
sexual liberated is like
actually no.
having multiple partners and just being liberated. It's not like a massive deal to you.
You're
being empowered by
sex. It means being empowered through your sexuality.
Why does sexual liberation have to mean having multiple partners though? I feel like I'm sexually liberated.
It doesn't. That's what I was gonna say.
So what does it mean then?
Being empowered sexually. So
okay, so being free.
Being sexually liberated means exactly what it means. It means you're free to have multiple partners. It means that you no longer under the constraints of a man, right? No man tells you what to do and you're sexually liberated. You have multiple partners. You can dress how you want, talk how you want, behave how you want, and change your partners as much as you want. That's what it means.
Not necessarily being free. It could mean that you want to wait till marriage. It could mean that
having
you want
autonomy
to have
over your sex life.
Exactly. It might mean you want to make sure you're in a
But
relationship.
in what example are you talking about, Rita?
So in the content I'm talking about is in terms of having multiple partners. Like, do you feel like
sleeping around, having sex, being promiscuous?
But yeah, just having like multiple partners and not actually seeing it as a big deal. Like just kind of seeing it as like Oloni, from your standpoint,
handle it.
Yeah, because what is that? Do you think it does more harm than good? Do you think it's good for your mental headspace?
I think like sex can definitely be good for your mental health. So if you know how to be sexually mature about the situation. There are a lot of people who are having casual sex but don't know how to be sexually mature.
Now, what does being sexually mature mean? I mean, I don't understand. I mean, if you're having casual sex, you're not sexually mature, because that's the nature of what you're doing. You're being immature, because to casually have sex as if it's just like, oh, it's just like changing your socks. It's just like eating a meal. You know, you eat it, you enjoy it. And then, you know, when you have your fill, you know, and you start getting hungry again, then you have another meal, you eat it again, and then you have your fill, and then round and around we go. You change your partners as you change your clothes. It's by nature of it, it's sexually immature.
And that's what is important. And I think if you're able to have that conversation with your sexual partner or the person you'd like to be intimate with, or partners, exactly.
Notice the lady said partners and the other lady said partners, exactly. It's like that kind of understanding that, oh, you can have more than one partner. I mean, men do it. Why can't we do it? We're females. We should be able to do it too. Why can't we have multiple partners? Men do it, right? The worst type of men do it. So why can't we do it? Why can't we explore our bodies just like the men? Partners. We can have partners. A woman should be able to have multiple partners. Exactly. That's the mindset that is going on here, which is not godly, and it's not going to be good for your body either.
Then it is definitely possible. However, there are some people who are just going along for the ride, as you mentioned earlier, because the guy is doing it and they're just like, sure, I'll do whatever you want.
I think a lot of people aren't emotionally prepared to have many sexual partners.
Yeah.
And I think there are a lot of people that have lots of sexual partners under the assumption or belief they're sexually liberated, but actually they have issues in their past that they need to fix. And whether it's the need to be validated, whether it's insecurities, whether it's daddy, mummy issues, whatever, because it happens to both guys and girls. You have some guys that bang hundreds of girls a month and they're doing it because they're filling a void. It's like, if you know that there's not a void in place, or there isn't some kind of emotional turmoil in your past that needs fixing, and you're doing it just because you like sex, because some people just like sex, then whatever, like, do you?
If you're being sexually immature and you're having sex with all sorts of people because of something that happened to you in your past, you haven't fully gotten over it, so then you want to have sex with so many different types of people because you're just trying to get over that, what happened to you in the past. Now, that's obviously problematic. And also, if you're having sex just for the sport of it, just for the fun of it, because lots of people, well, I wouldn't even say some these days, most people believe that sex is something that you just have. You can just enjoy it just like a sport. It is a sport, effectively a sport. And you can just have your fill. You can, like I've said before, you can have, if you have a really nice meal, you enjoy it, then you know, you have your fill, then you get hungry again, you have that taste for that meal again, then you have it again, and then you go around sampling meals. You go from one woman to the next, one man to the next. You bed hop, right? And that is sexually immature, and it is dishonorable in the eyes of the Most High, because he said marriage is honorable. Sex should only be done in the confinements of a marriage. You've made a commitment. A man has made a commitment with his woman, who is his wife, to stay with that woman for the rest of his life. Anything outside of that is dishonorable, right? It goes against the nature of what the Creator made it for.
But unfortunately, I think that there are a high percentage of young people and people in our age and demographic that have lots of sex, but they're having it to fill
a lot of people are in spiritual bondage.
Do you watch the video of a guy that slept with 50 women during his marriage?
Yeah.
And 341 overall.
And that's 17 years of marriage.
And that's
I'm not gonna lie, a sex positive.
Wait, was that 341 during marriage or
I have to put that to the side.
No, they've been together for 17
yeah.
years. So in the 17 years span,
365.
cheating on
And that is
just
that's gross. Ridiculous. I think that's gross, especially if you're in a mono relationship.
But then what she did do, Ayanya, she did uncover a lot of deep-rooted issues within himself.
What was the issue?
He had abandonment issues.
Okay. So what's that got to do with me? Like,
It's an issue.
It's an issue. It's ridiculous.
I mean, it is an issue.
It's a decision that he's made. That's bad.
It's an issue, but it's not an excuse.
It's not an excuse.
It's not an excuse.
But there were issues like family-wise, and I guess even his wife staying was an enabling
and my
act.
question is this: can I ask, like, because I think like our generation is very you know, sexually liberated, and yeah, you can, it's very, I don't want to use the word lawless because that sounds very like, but it is very free, right? Like you can sleep with whoever you want, sleep with how many people you want, this, that. But it almost feels like suddenly people think that as soon as they get a ring on their finger, suddenly that behavior and that idea just like changes, and suddenly you're going to be okay and satisfied with just being with one person. And that's my issue. And that's kind of my issue with it. It kind of feels like you've created this habit of you can sleep with whoever you want, it's whatever. Oh, I see that girl, she's hot. Or I see that man and I just want to jump on his face, blah, 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 blah. And all of a sudden, it's like it's meant to change when you meet this one person. Like, how does that habit suddenly disappear? You know?
And that's the problem with casual sex. If you're into casual sex and you bed hop quite a lot, you know, you're into bed hopping and fornicating, because the Bible calls it fornication. It's a form of fornication, you know, which is, fornication is any sexual sin outside of a man and a woman, right? A married man and a married woman, right? It's fornication. So if you live a life of fornication, which is bed hopping, being sexually immature, there's going to come a time when you get older, when you want to settle down. You want to buy a house, you want to have a wife, you want to have a husband, and you want to have children, you want to raise up a family. There'll come a natural point when that comes. But when you do find that, first of all, because of the nature of the way how you live your life, how is the Lord going to bless you with someone decent? He's not going to do that. And second of all, even if you do think you've found someone decent, what makes you think that person is going to stay with you? And the other question is, if you do find someone halfway decent, what makes you think that you would want to stay with them? Because you live the whole life of bed hopping, right? Your whole life, everything about you is bed hopping. Your answer to everything is going from bed to bed to bed. So what makes you think that you're going to be loyal in a marriage? It's just not going to happen, is it? Right? It's just not going to happen.
And your moral compass, and that is my problem with it.
Like, do you think that people who are sexually liberated might have issues like
I think
loyal
maybe I don't know yet, because it's our generation that's happening now, so I don't know what the future is going to be. But I feel like
not necessarily addicted.
But I just think, where does it stop? Do you know what I mean? Like it's you know, they say a habit is created like if you do something like over a period of about 6 weeks, right? So if it's a habit, like you literally, any person you see immediately, it's kind of like
you want to jump on them.
Do you know what I mean? Like, so why does it mean that suddenly when you meet the love of your life, suddenly that's gonna stop?
But that's the thing. Why do people think that people who are sexually liberated do not have feelings and emotions that have a moral compass?
It's not about a moral. I don't think about a moral. I'm not saying that. It's not about having a moral compass, but I'm saying that if you're used to doing, I don't understand. Like with every other thing, like it's a habit.
It's like that whole thing.
It's not necessarily a habit.
Are you sure?
We live in a time whereby people, they don't want to follow any rules, no regulations, anything goes. I mean, if you live in a Western country, a first world country, you come from a third world country and you come to a place like Britain, America, Canada, or parts of Europe, you know, you'd be like, wow, this is so liberated. It's so free. I can do whatever I want to do. Wow, I never had this back in my country. Right? You come to these shores and you're very, very shocked with the liberation of everybody, right? Especially the women. The females are extremely liberated. They can do what they want to do. They say whatever they want to say, and no responsibility whatsoever. And that's the problem that we have in this society. You're talking about, a female is talking about if you change your partners on a regular basis, what makes you think when you do find someone that you want to settle down with that you're going to want to stay? And the other female says, oh, well, what makes you think that those people that are sexually liberated do not have a moral compass? Well, that's not really a response, is it? Right? Because if by nature of having multiple sexual partners, you have no moral compass. Because you have multiple sexual partners. Because sex is for married people. People that have made a commitment for life. It's not just for casually having sex. Even when you have sex with someone, afterwards you feel that something is missing, something is gone from you and entered into somebody else. Like if you're a man and you've had sex with a woman, you feel that your spirit is gone. Bits of you is gone and has entered into that woman. So you've become one with that woman. That's what the Bible teaches. You become one flesh with that woman. Your DNA and your spirit is imparted into that woman. So sex is never a casual affair that you can just have a bit of fun and, there's no problems whatsoever. No, it's never casual and it's never funny.
I feel for
It's
me,
like that whole thing
it's-
of when guys say that, oh, they're done being a player, or they're done being, I don't want to be a player, no, because they're saying to themselves that, okay, I don't want to be sleeping around with multiple women, I want to settle down now with one woman.
Yeah.
But then there's a transition that needs to take place where their mindset has to change so that their actions can follow through.
Right.
And I think what Rita's saying is that if you're used to that kind of lifestyle and you don't have no self-control,
wouldn't it be harder? That's what I'm
and
asking.
you have the freedom to just sleep with whoever you want, whenever you want, it's going to be harder for you to be like, okay, actually, maybe I should just find the love of my life and settle down with one person and be loyal to that one person and not feel like if I see another amazing woman down the road, I'm going to be tempted to jump on
I'm
her
just
too.
asking, like,
It's like when someone's dieting or smoking, it's harder to go cold turkey.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes they have to like
a
work
gradual
themselves
thing.
out of that behavior.
And are we supposed to like
Maybe
wait
that's
around
what
whilst they
happens.
work themselves out of this behavior and allow
You
him
want
to
to be
just,
active with the whole world.
do you know what I mean?
wanna be
Do you see what I mean though? I just think
So I must wait here.
As long as
while
he's
you
using
are-
protection, he can be
Oh.
active with whoever he
You're
wants.
not forgiving.
I'm
But
not
I must
forgiving,
stay
but
here
if you're not my
and wait for
boyfriend
you.
and you're wearing a condom, then do what you want. because
Condom.
Now, the best part of this video is coming up because the older sister is scolding the younger sister, and she's basically saying to her that a condom doesn't protect you from all the other things that affect you, which are not a sexually transmitted disease. But what I will add here, because the younger sister said that if you're not my boyfriend, you can wear a condom. That is definitely a worldly way of seeing it, a worldly way of thinking. It's very much a wicked way of thinking. That wearing a condom is going to stop all the other effects that's going to come on you from having casual sex. When you're having casual sex with multiple partners and you're a woman, the man deposits his spirit, a woman being the weaker vessel, he deposits his spirit, his DNA into the woman every time she has sex, right? Every time he has sex with her, right? So if she's changing partners on a regular basis, it goes from single figures to double figures to triple figures, then it means that she's been married to every time she has sex with someone, she's been married to that person. So when it goes from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 to 5, you're married to 5 people, 6 people, 7, 8, 9, 10. And when it gets to 20 double figures, 50, dare I say it, 100, it means that you're not fit for marriage. You're not fit for real marriage. When you're ready to settle down with one person for the rest of that person's life, you're not fit for it because you've been married to 100 different men. You're not fit for purpose. You have 100 different men's spirit inside of you, and some of that spirit is not even a good spirit. Some men may be drug takers. They might be weed smokers. They might be people that go around stealing. They might be pedophiles. They might be, God knows what they might be. But there are multiple spirits inside of you. So therefore, when you're ready to settle down, you can't settle down because you have all these spirits fighting within you. And that's why women are gained the title of being crazy. Why are they crazy? Because you're having multiple sex with multiple partners. So therefore, a condom cannot stop that.
Condom doesn't protect your heart. Condoms don't protect your spirit.
No, but
condoms don't
talking
protect
about
your
if you're not in a
mind. So I don't
relationship.
care how many
But then you
condoms
spoke
you
about
put on,
emotions and
how many
feelings, like
contraceptives
Yeah,
you
but
put
I'm
on,
talking about-
like, that's
we
all
make it
great.
out like sex is just.
Okay, so let's give some edification. Normally I play a video and give a commentary and then afterwards give some edification, right? So let's do that now, right? So let's go through the scriptures and let's give a little bit of edification, right? So let's go to 1 Peter 4 and we're going to read from 1 to 2. For as much then as Christ hath suffered for us in the flesh, arm yourselves likewise with the same mind. For he that hath suffered in the flesh hath ceased from sin, that he no longer should live the rest of his time in the flesh to the lusts of men, but to the will of God, right? So Christ fully surrendered to the will of God, right? He fully surrendered to the will of God. The Most High sent him to do a mission, and he was fully obedient to that mission, and he died on the cross for the sins of the children of Israel, right? So we no longer are under the commands of our flesh, right? So we can resist. What it's saying is that we can resist our flesh, right? We can come out of the carnal way of doing things, this carnal world, this worldly way of doing things, this secular world. We can come out of this sex-filled world. Everything is gender confusion. Everything is sexual confusion. Everything is fornication. Everything has to have an element of selling sex and fornication and being wild, having multiple lovers, multiple bed partners, saying things like a condom can protect you. I mean, all that is worldly, right? It's given into the flesh, right? As the Bible says, flesh to the lust of men and to the will of God. He fully surrendered, fully submitted to the will of God, and ultimately he was sacrificed for the children of Israel to the will of God. So let's read 2 again. That he no longer should live the rest of his time in the flesh to the lusts of men, but to the will of God. So he fully surrendered to the will of God, and he was no longer under the lust that every man is subjected to here in this earth, right? Now, just because you're subjected to the lust, you have a lustful spirit, lust can encompass not just sex. It could lust after material things, right? Lust after power, lust after being a big pop star, being a big actor, being a multimillionaire, billionaire, all those things you can covet, right? And have those lusts within you, but you subject yourself. When you subject yourself to the Most High in Christ, you now don't see those things as being the ultimate aim. Your ultimate aim is your soul, right? Because people always have lusts in them, but it's about controlling your lust, and it's about bringing that flesh under subjection, right? So let's go to 1 Peter 5, and we're going to read from 5 to 9. The elders which are among you I exalt, who am also an elder, I suppose it means I am also an elder and a witness of the sufferings of Christ. So Peter witnessed the sufferings of Christ, and also partaker of the glory that shall be revealed. Feed the flock of God, which is among you, taking the oversight thereof, not by constraint, but willingly, not for filthy lucre, but of a ready mind. So you should always be ready to give the word of God, right? That's why when I do a commentary, I don't just say, well, isn't it awful? Look at these horrible people, look at the whore and the whoremonger, look at them. No, I give scriptures to give edification, because ultimately, my opinion means nothing if it's not coming out of the oracles of God, right? Neither as being lords over God's inheritance, but being ensamples to the flock, right? So you're supposed to be an example to the flock. And when the chief shepherd shall appear, you shall receive a crown of glory that faded not away. So when Christ returns, you will ultimately get salvation, right? 5, likewise, ye younger, submit yourselves unto the elder. Yea, all of you be subject one to another, and to be clothed with humility, for God resisteth the proud and giveth grace to the humble. So you should submit yourself to some kind of elder, right? So if you're female, you should submit to a male elder, or you should get your instructions from a mother, an older woman, who instructs you and tells you the best way to go. Like in Titus, it tells you that the older woman is supposed to teach the younger woman. So you suppose you can be a protege of an elder woman, and you could see an elder man as being like a father figure, right? Let's read 5 again. Likewise, ye younger, submit yourselves unto the elder. Yea, all of you be subject one to another, and be clothed with humility, for God resisted the proud and giveth grace to the humble. So the Lord has bishops and pastors and people who are elders in the faith to teach the younger, so that they would be instructed on how to go, right? So let's go to 6. Humble yourself therefore under the mighty hand of God, that he may exalt you in due time. So you humble yourself under the Most High, right? So in due time, he will bless you. He would tell you where he wants you to go, right? He will promote you, so to speak, right? Casting all your care upon him, for he careth for you. So you care about the Most High. In all of these circumstances, you're thinking, she looks really horny. I'm horny. Maybe we should just do it. because we're not harming anybody. It's just like a casual sex thing. I mean, I can meet her up like once in a while, if we don't have like, husbands and wife, we're not married, right? Why not have casual sex? Why not? Right? But when you cast your care upon the Lord, you think, oh, hang on, that's not what the Lord wants, right? And if it's not what he wants, then it means that you're out of his will, right? If you continuously commit those type of acts. So he says, casting all your care upon him, but he careth for you. The Lord careth for all of us, those people that love him. Be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary, the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about, seeking whom he may devour. So in the spiritual realm, you have the devil, which is constantly manipulating things to set you up for a downfall, right? So you have to be mindful of that and stay in the will of God so that the Lord can send his legion of angels to protect you always, right? And it also says to be sober. So you must not be a drunkard. You must not be someone who gets high all the time, always smoking weed, always doing drugs, always getting drunk, always getting out of it. You're not supposed to be like that. It says be sober, be vigilant, right? So you must be in a sober mind and you must be able to see what's going on, right? You must be able to have spiritual eyes to see what's going on. And ears, because your adversary, the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about, seeking whom he may devour. See, so the devil is looking to see who he can get, right? Who he can bring to a downfall. 9, whom resist steadfast in the faith, knowing that the same afflictions are accomplished in your brethren that are in the world, right? So you have to be steadfast in the faith. Let's read 9 again. Whom resist steadfast in the faith, knowing that the same afflictions are accomplished in your brethren that are in the world. So we must come out of the world, right? And we must put on Christ. It's very important, right? So let's now go to 1 Peter 3, and we're going to read from 3 to 6. 1 Peter 3, we're going to read from 3 to 6. So we're going to deal with the sisters in the video who are kind of talking about multiple sexual partners, and they're largely okay with it, right? There's just a couple of just probably one sister that's kind of resisting it somewhat, right? But nevertheless, they are worldly. They're all worldly minded, right? So let's go to 1 Peter 3, reading from 3 to 6. Whose adorning, let it not be the outward adorning of plaited hair and of wearing of gold or of putting on of apparel, but let it be the hidden man of the heart in that which is not corruptible, even the ornament of a meek and quiet spirit, which is in the sight of God of a great price. So you don't walk around looking sexually, talking about how you're sexually liberated. That's wicked, right? You tell those Afghanistani women that they can walk around in Afghanistan with next to nothing. They can't do it, right? Because the men over there will not stand for it, right? I'm not saying that if you believe in Christ, that's how it should be, right? Right? Because there is such a thing as going over the top with it, right? But then again, they have never confessed Christ, right? They follow a different religion, a different God, right? Which is idolatry, right? They're not Israelites. They never profess to be Israelites. They're Ishmaelites, right? But what I'm trying to make is that you should, being sexually liberated is so offensive to God and offensive to the men of God, because what you're saying is you can show your breast, you can show your vagina, you can show your backside, your curves and the shape of your backside. You can wear heavy makeup and look like a harlot, look like a whore, and there's nothing a black man can do about it, right? I'm talking about the black woman. You could dress like a whore, act like a whore, treat your men like idiots, right? You can get married to them and then divorce them. You can walk out. You can take them for child support. You can get them. You can get them. You can get it. You can use the system so that they can only see their children if they have a court order. That kind of thing. That's wickedness, right? That's truly evil. You could get involved in a marriage, and then when you actually, the man goes through the emotions where he's signing the piece of paper and he says, well, yeah, I've got a wife. And then next thing you know, the woman won't cook or clean and she won't listen to you. And then she has the audacity to walk out and then hit you up for alimony, right? All those things are wicked, right? And it comes from a wicked system, right? That gives the women too much power. So let's read 3 again. Whose adorning, let it not be the outward adorning of plaited hair and of wearing of gold or putting on of apparel, right? So it's not about the things that you wear, right? But let it be the hidden man of the heart. It must be the hidden man of the heart. You can't be defiled internally, right? The reason why you look and you think that way, it's okay to have multiple sexual partners and it's okay to be sexually liberated, is because you are defiled. Your heart is defiled. It's corrupted. Let it be the hidden man of the heart in that which is not corruptible, even the ornament of a meek and quiet spirit. So you must have a meek and quiet spirit, right? If you have a meek and quiet spirit, then the way you actually carry yourself will be more covered up. Right? You don't want to be sexually tempting any man, right? Which is in the sight of God a good price. So the Most High puts more of an emphasis on the female being in a meek and quiet spirit and being of a good heart, right? She's a helpmeet, she's a pillar of rest, and she supports her husband, she submits to her husband. 5, but after this manner in the old time, the holy woman also who trusted in God adorned themselves, being in subjection unto their own husbands. Even as Sarah obeyed Abraham, calling him Lord, whose daughters ye are, as long as you do well and are not afraid of any amazement. Right, so it's talking about females should be subject themselves to their husbands, right? And you should be in a meek and quiet spirit. You should be in a friendly spirit, an agreeable spirit to your husband, and respect his authority over your life, right? Because the female is the weaker vessel. So therefore, all this equality between men and women, it's garbage. It's BS. Right? It's garbage, because at the end of the day, it doesn't stop the females from being the weaker vessel and the men the stronger vessel. So if the females are the weaker vessel and the men are always the stronger vessel, who is having more play? The males are having more play. You know, at the end of it, I mean, both of them are both, engaging in sexual activity, but who gets the weaker end of the stick, or who gets the lower end of the stick? Who gets afflicted more? Ultimately, it's the female. Because a man can have sex with various women and not really feel much regards to that. But because the female is a weaker vessel, she's more likely to be attached to the men that she has sex with, right? So if she has 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 sexual partners, she's been married all the times. All the sexual partners that she's had, that's the men that she has been married to, right? So therefore, as the weaker vessel, she's more likely to be affected than the man, right? So I'm going to leave it there, and hopefully you were edified with just those few scriptures. But the most important thing is that you should come out of the world. Brothers and sisters, I hope you were edified. Shalom.